como se dice, also the general topics. I mean, there's no like point of it other than like talking about you and then bullshitting about certain things. Definitely, things I want to talk about is, I mean, who you are. I mean, everybody knows who you are, but for whoever's the listeners, like I
All
said,
right.
my three listeners, like my mom and my tío. Um, you've actually been the topic of a few of my podcasts because I
Oh,
talked to a
nice.
few comedians and we talk about jujitsu, and we talk about our different gyms. And sometimes I talk about how they'll talk about, oh, my gym is this way, my gym is that way, and I think people try to get caught up on like what's a better gym or what's the right way to run a gym or what's the right way to train. And I'm always like, well, at the end of the day, I think it's you find where you excel at,
Yeah.
but um there was a few things that people talked about your gym that were they made like comments about it, and I was just like, nah, I think you're getting it wrong, because I talked about and we can go touch on it later. But one of the things I talked about was like you have to buy a lima. You have to have something with a logo. And everybody's like, yeah. Well, some people were like, yeah, I like a uniform. I like that we're all a part of something. And other people were like, oh, that's just a way for them to make money. And then I started thinking, I was like, that's not true, because the rule is 50 push-ups or wear a logo.
Yeah.
And if you're choosing to wear the logo in one way, like a not a I don't know if you really meant it that way, but the way I took it is, well, you're avoiding the purpose of why you came here, to get stronger, to get better, and you're avoiding it by buying shit. When if you just didn't buy shit, you could do 50 push-ups and get stronger. You can still wear it again to be a part of a team, part of a group, to show
Yeah.
support and all those things. But I think they took it as like, oh, that's a way of him making money off you. And I'm like, well, no, because you're choosing to do that. He doesn't force you to do
Yeah.
it. You could do 50 push-ups, you could buy the shirt and do the 50 push-ups if you want.
Yeah.
But people choose to avoid those 50 push-ups and forget what's the purpose of why I'm here. The purpose
Yeah.
that I'm here is to get stronger,
To
to get
train.
better and
Yeah.
train. So we talked about that. And then another time I talked about was when I first trained with you, that I tapped out and you kept hitting me, and that I got home and I was mad. I was like, man, this fool fucking took advantage of me. He knows what he's doing. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, and he beat me up. And man, that fool's an asshole. He's a dick. But then I started thinking, like, after I took a shower and I took off all the pain, all the vergüenza, I started thinking about it later, and I was like, you know what? If I'm going there to defend myself in a realistic situation, there's no tapping out. There's no I give up. Those are very rare. You're not gonna, and pretty much that would be a fair fight. In most cases, someone is the aggressor. You don't give a fuck about a fair fight. He's mad at you or she's mad at you and they're attacking you, and so you have to defend yourself. And there is gonna be no tapping. You're gonna have to keep defending yourself, even if you're hurt, even if your hands broken, your legs broken. You have to keep defending yourself. And so and they talk about that in like the military, they talked about that in the police force, that how you train is how you're going to react in a real fight or in a real situation. So um, I took it as like, oh, okay, then I can't be tapping out all the time. I do have to. I mean, there's a point where, yeah, you have to tap
Yeah.
because you're going to break something.
I think like honestly, whenever you have a student or anybody that comes and join or just try it out, and I think one of the most important things in the whole experience of learning it is like you have to understand that life, anything that you do in life, the moment you quit, you start getting used to that. The moment you start getting just giving up or anything. Of course, whenever I grapple, for example, with you, I, there's 100% chance that I was not hitting you hard. I was going like maybe like
Oh yeah,
10, 15% just to like make you keep guiding. And like even whenever I was hitting you, I bet I was encouraging, like, come on, let's go. Don't
yeah, yeah,
quit. Come on, get up. Don't keep blocking. Come on, let's go. So you get used to it because let's say one day it happens whenever you're getting beat up by somebody, that person's not gonna care. And if you already experienced couple situations like that, you start like focusing, understand, okay, I gotta block. Then what I gotta do, get him off balance and then get up or something. But I already experienced that rather than like it happened like, oh shoot, they never taught me how to be in this situation.
yeah. No, so yeah, there was just like several conversations about talking about like gyms and how they're different. And whenever I talked about it, I'd always say like, I hope this doesn't sound horrible how I'm describing it, but it made me a better person. It made me understand that to take it more serious.
Yeah.
That the situation isn't to be taken lightly. Like, yes, we're all a team and we're not going to hurt each other and we're trying to make each other better, but you could be hurting the other guy too because he's not learning to push himself. You're not pushing yourself. Um, and there's nothing wrong with like a little, vacilando and shit,
Yeah, like something I love about our gym is like we have that like that part that make us all a family. Something like when somebody have problem with somebody, I stop immediately. I don't let it go past that. And but we have that competitiveness that we keep each other pushing each other, like getting just better. And me, I gotta motivate everybody because the moment I see you walking, I'm on your ass like, hey, come on, you gotta go, go, go. And it's not just you, everybody that is lacking. And I make sure like they pushing, and at the end of the day, they probably hit me at that second, like, man, why this guy is just asking me like to run, like that's what you paid me for, right? To train you, to teach you, to like push you. And then eventually they see the results. They're like, man, like I got better. I fought. I did something that I never thought I was gonna do. A fight, exhibition, a tournament, a competition, and I never thought I was gonna do something like that. And then little by little, they like start thanking me, like, man, like that's man, all this time that you were like on my ass, like telling me like, run, come on, faster, no cheating. It was for a reason. It's not just for like to make you get mad.
Yeah, I think like obviously I'm in and out. Like the everybody has. One thing I've noticed too is that everybody has their reason for going to the gym. Some people, maybe the kid is getting bullied and they want the kid just to defend themselves, or at least not fight anybody, but at least not have that doubt in themselves that they don't have to resort to violence, but I'm choosing not to be violent rather than I'm avoiding violence. I'm choosing because one thing I've noticed too is like you don't hear or see anything about like the gym owners going around beating the shit out of people, or like challenging each other, or having kumates, or like these crazy street fights. It's very much the opposite. Those are like the most disciplined people, the people who avoid conflict.
Yeah.
Um, and then for me, I joined more for like, okay, I'm feeling out of shape. I feel old, and then I'm there and I feel old, even though because I'm tired and I'm beat up. But when I come home, when I start my day, I feel more energy. I feel better. I sleep better.
Yeah.
I'm more confident in myself that I'm not gonna get winded as I would get
Yeah.
if I didn't train. So I'm in and out. One of the things that happened to me too, and I even talked to you about it, was like, oh, I want more roles, I want more experience. What I learned after I tried the free trials at the other gyms was one, I didn't feel the same. Like it didn't feel like a family. It didn't feel um, that they had the same heart as your gym.
Yeah.
I felt like they were learning reactionary things. They were learning how to do a trick and do this. Doesn't mean that they couldn't fight somebody or defend themselves, but it just wasn't the same energy.
Yeah.
And then I noticed about myself too that I was too in a hurry to want to get better without the work, without the progress. I was like, oh, they got black belts over here, they got blue belts. I'm gonna get better, but really, I'm not gonna get better if I don't know the fundamentals, if I don't know how to escape, if I don't know how to roll right,
Yeah.
if and then I think another thing too that about being in a gym, like you have to learn about recovery. Like you can't just go every day. You also have to learn what to do before you go, what to do when you get home. How to take care of yourself, how to be prepared, take your vitamins. You know, go to the chiropractor if you need to go to the
Yeah.
chiropractor. Um, all those things. Um, and so I did try other gyms, but like I said, like I just didn't like it. What I was really looking for was a morning gym, a gym I can go in the morning. But even that was like I just didn't want to get up that early all the
Yeah.
time.
You know what? I got a bunch of people that always tell me that do morning classes. And I got to one point, okay, let's do morning classes. So I got like 15 people that they want to sign up for morning classes. The first day, I got like 12 people. The second day, 5 people. The third day, 7. The fourth day, 2. The fifth day, like 1. I got to the point like they weren't like really taking it serious. So I was like,
Yeah.
you know what? I'm not gonna do morning classes because like I have things to do in the morning, and I try to make everybody's happy. And by doing that, I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do. And people that want to do it, they don't even do it. They're not even taking it serious. So I just gonna have a specific classes, and if they want to show up, good. If not, I just focus on training. And if I want to do private classes, like in the morning, let's do private classes rather than like open a schedule in the morning and nobody shows up. You know what I mean? Like it takes a lot of time. A lot of people doesn't understand like to run a business like a gym. Like if you say you have classes, you have to be there, regardless if one person or nobody's there. You have to be there.
Yeah, once someone signs up, they have the expectation that those are the signups and the
Exactly. And the
times.
moment that you're not there, like then they start like bad mouthing the gym or like complaining about it, and that's what happened. And I did it for like 2 months. So then I just canceled the morning classes because it wasn't consistent.
Yeah.
And I noticed a lot of gyms are the same. Like they do morning classes, but they do really really early, like 6 in the morning, 7 in the morning, and it's on and off. Like couple people show up, couple people don't show up. I'm like, man, I'm at the point like I'd rather like rest and then get a better training later on and then do the big class later on. I think I don't know. I feel like it would be nice to have a morning class, but like with that commitment from other people, it's hard as well.
So speaking of commitment, I think a topic that we're kind of discussing, and I've discussed with other people, is like gym loyalty. Um, when I talk to other people, my thing is like, man, we ain't the Wu Tang and the Shaolin, you know, like this isn't like ancient times or these schools. But I think the more and more I want to go to a gym, I kind of understand it more and more that it's not really about, you know, affiliation, but more of progress, and then like you said, a family.
Yeah.
What's your take on from an as an owner, your perspective on like gym loyalty?
Like besides the honor, besides all of that is like for example, I think this is I would say like my number one thing for as a is somebody says for example, let's say you have a relationship, a girlfriend, right? And this person is with you, and then that person ended up breaking up with you and go with somebody else, and then
She's like, I taught him all those moves.
that'd be
You might
funny.
be enjoying his moves, but I taught him.
And then that person tells you like, boy, I want to date him, but also I want to date you. Now there's a conflict of interest
Yeah.
because now that person is not with you 100% committed, is committed with somebody else as well. In the fighting game, if I'm training, let's say I'm training KO, and KO is right here for people who doesn't know, but he's right here. He's my security, is my bodyguard right now. Um, Me, I gonna spend extra time with him, preparing him for his fights, helping him with his nutrition, guiding him, advising him like what to eat, what not to eat, how to recover, what to do, what not to do, spending extra time on making sure he's get ready for his event, his fight. If he trains another gym, he also gonna have another coach guiding him, telling him something that might be a lot different than what I'm telling him. If we go to the event and competition, we might have two coaches, and those coaches might teach differently. And maybe he's like, "Bo, he's training with me. Bo, he's training with me too." Like, who's the coach? They don't allow you to have like two coaches. It's one coach and the cornerman, the assistant, basically. So, which school you represent? Which school you're gonna sign under for the tournament? So all that takes in consideration. Then I think, well, if the person wants to train somebody else, train somebody else, it's okay with me. I don't have a problem. But I'm not gonna go 4 hours away to drive to corner him or corner her if it's gonna be a fight, a conflict, seeing like who's cornering, who's coaching him. I'm not gonna spend extra time like out of my son, out of my family, is giving you advice. Like, this is what you need to do. Or I'm not gonna spend extra time to find you better fights or find you sponsors or endorsement. Like taking time out of my life to help you if you loyalty somewhere else. You know what I mean? So it's a lot of time, a lot of things that if you show me loyalty, I will match that energy back to you. How? With things I can do for you, help you, guide you, advise you, find you sponsors, find you better fights, make sure you do the best you can do. But when that energy is split in different parts, not even the coach, even the students. Example, if let's say you have a gym, Iceberg Fitness Center, and then we have Llamas competition team, and then Keyo trains with you and also trains with me, right? And then one day we have a tournament, and you're in the final and I'm in the final, and then you have to take five of you guys and I take five of my guys. Who Keyo is gonna go? That will
Mm.
create a conflict. That will create a problem, and then the students, Keyo's friends from Llamas competition team, and I'm assuming you have a bunch of people in your gym too. He's gonna have some friends there. They're gonna have also Keyo's back. But whenever he decides where to go, those people will feel betrayed,
That's true.
and or your student will feel betrayed. He's gonna lose that, and the person that is bouncing out from gym to gym to gym will never find a home. So who take you to the highest place? You, but you also need a home. You need your team, your students, your friends, your teammates that support you to go to your fights, to cheer for you, to share in social media, to say Team Llamas, to you know what I mean? Like you can make it yourself. You need a team, you need a home. So the people that's always bouncing around, all the fighters that do that, they ended up with nobody because their coaches they're like, I don't want to train this guy. Why? Well, he trains with me, he trains with him, he trains with him, he trains over there, and I don't even know when he's coming or no. And most of those time, those fighters doesn't even pay, to be honest. So you're spending and wasting extra time in people that doesn't have the same loyalty, the same energy that you're putting into it. So for me, I'd rather use that energy for my son. I'd rather use that energy for the people that stay, for the people that is actually putting the time. So I think that's loyalties. I think it will be, to me, it will be very important.
The
We do
wanting.
have a crazy workout, it's not like a super crazy, but it's not like something that average person will be able to handle easily. The warm ups that we do, they're not.
Yeah.
They're hard. They're hard to do, especially now that the gym is bigger, like longer.
Yeah.
It's harder, but it does help you, like your stamina, your endurance, your power, your speed. It just help you big time. And a lot of people doesn't understand. Like it doesn't matter how good you are. If you get tired, you become a punching bag. It doesn't matter what belt you are. If you're tired and you can't even move, it doesn't matter about your technique anymore. It gets to the point like, punch me, I'm just gonna make myself a little ball. So the technique, the strength, the cardio, stamina, they all contribute factors to make you a better fighter.
That's a good point. You know, it's one thing to be fresh and be fighting, and another thing to be exhausted and still be in the game, still have the right mind. I know when I practiced when I was taking the free trials at the other gyms, one thing I noticed is like, yeah, I was getting my ass kicked because they're all blue belts and brown belts and there's all these other black belts, but they all told me the same thing. They're like, bro, you're fucking big, man. And they would be tired. And I would be like, no, let's keep going. Let's keep going. And so I tap, or they would get exhausted and they were just like, oh, I'm going to take, like, give me a minute. And I'm like, come on, let's go. Come on, come on.
Yeah,
And then, like, they didn't want to practice like that. And I'm like, I don't care if I'm getting beat up. I want to keep grappling. I
yeah,
want to keep going. I want to get stronger. And this is when I'm gonna get stronger. I'm fucking tired, bro, and I'm still going, and I'm not hurt. Like fuck, I'm not hurt. So let's keep going. But I noticed that they didn't have the same heart as the guys at your gym. They
yeah,
they, and it started making sense too. Why like I'd be like, man, some of these guys haven't been training that long, and you go take them to another gym, and I think I told other people like if you take 10 people, 9 of them are coming back
yeah,
winners.
yeah.
You know,
And a
and
lot of them are new, like they never done anything. Uh,
and and when I've noticed too, when you post videos of the fights or the parents post videos of the fights, one thing I've noticed is that because we have the sparring sessions, you learn to take a hit, you learn to keep moving forward.
yeah,
Whereas where I've noticed is like I see the gym and I see the guy fucking agile and shit. I'm like, holy shit, Let's see, but as soon as they get hit in the face, they ball
they
up.
forget
They're they're
everything.
they're they're fighting different. Whereas
Yeah,
they've in your gym you've practiced getting hit and staying in the fight, not running and giving up or tapping out, but staying in the fight,
yeah,
exhausted as you are. And I mean the people you've had for a while, man, they do great. They do great. And then like you said, the new people too, they all do
yeah,
really good. And it's not because they're wearing a logo.
yeah.
It's not because of belts or whatever. It's just more heart.
And about the logo, check this out. I learned this. Um, our logos is the green, the yellow, the white, with a black shirt.
Mm-hmm.
I know exactly where my students are at all times. I just look around and I see, okay, that's my student. I cannot lose a kid whenever we go to events. So whenever we are uniform, it make us look professional. Also, I know where my students are at all times. Also, whenever we fighting and whenever we go to events, they take us serious. They see, oh, they're the Llamas competition team. Like you're part of a team. What do your teams do? They got uniforms.
Mm-hmm.
They go compete with uniforms. You don't see la selección de Brasil jugando la Copa Mundial con different shirts. You don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody has a uniform and they look nice. So one of the main things for me is like, uh, in the martial arts, you learn the discipline, and then on competitions, we gotta look professional. Why? That's how you're projecting yourself. A lot of you guys wanna make a living on the sport eventually. And the more professional you acting right now, the easier the doors, the easier the way it's gonna be for you guys. The moment in a lot of gyms, like big gyms, like in Las Vegas, they don't let you train if you don't bring the uniform. You cannot get inside the mats if you don't have the uniform. You cannot train if you don't have your mouthpiece. You cannot train if you don't have your kimono from their brand. You can't. I'm more flexible. I'm let them train. I'm just, hey, put your 50 push. I didn't bring your uniform. You know what I mean? And a lot of I don't think there's a gym in town that has something like that. I do it like that because I also learn from some of the best gyms out there. I see how they run in their programs. I like, okay, that's actually a good idea. And my logo stands out, black and green and yellow. Yeah, you see somebody from far away. So we have like everything that we do lately, well, for a little while, is strategizing how we can succeed, not just making better fighters, also succeed in growing our gym. Because I feel like we have a really strong program and we've been helping like our community and our kids for a long time. And if I'm able to like make a bigger impact, there's more people we can help, big time. We are, I think, that one of the only gyms in town that does the biggest sport combat successfully. For example, boxing. Last time we had like 22 kids, 17 of them did boxing, 16 of them won. And at the same event, we had like jiu-jitsu. We had like 7, 8 kids that did jiu-jitsu, 5 of them won. And then we had like 3 kids did MMA, all 3 of them won in the same tournament. But the other gyms, they only focus in just boxing. Another gym just focus in just jiu-jitsu. Another gyms focus in MMA. And the gyms that kind of focus in all three, they don't have that rank, the success on wins, or like the students did really good. They don't. Because when I teach my students, I'm teaching them like if I'm teaching myself, I'm not preparing for my fights. And I'm competing at some of the highest levels in jiu-jitsu tournaments, in bare knuckle boxing, in MMA. So you training what I'm training. And if it works for me, I'm pretty sure it's gonna work with somebody that doesn't even have a professional fight yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why they do great, because I make them work hard. I advising on things how to eat. When people come and ask me, Coach, what should I eat after? What should I do? I advise and I give them like a nutritionist. I'm not a dietitian. I'm not a doctor, but I've been doing this for 12 years professionally. I have never missed weight. I lost 65 pounds in under 3 months from my last fight, and I did.
Yeah, that was
You know what I
crazy.
mean?
Yeah.
So I know how to do it right.
Got raw, bro.
I know it, man. Everybody's telling me that, man.
It was so hard to watch. I was working at a haunted house and I had it on my phone. There was a guy who was doing a live broadcast on it, and I was listening every fight, every round. He was just like he called the rounds, and I was just like, what the fuck? And even he was like, he was at the end. He goes, he was on the fence about it, but he was like, he was giving it to you, but he was the other guy's fan,
Yeah.
and he was giving it to you. So I was just kind of like the whole time listening. I was like, man, like. I was like, what the fuck, man? This guy's always getting robbed, bro.
Bro, I put a whooping on him, man. Like, they check, they count a strike by strike. They did a video. They sent it to me. They post in different pages. Every round. In the first round, I landed 3 times more the amount. Not 3 punches more, 3 times the amount. And they gave it to him. How that's possible, man? And the second round, it was almost double. But altogether, it was like 44 to 76 or 78 punches, something like that. So I almost doubled the amount strikes during the entire fight. And but then I realized, how can I beat somebody? He live in Vancouver. We fight in Vancouver. He just got inducted in the Hall of Fame. He's 6-time world champion, and the judges are from Vancouver. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're gonna give it to him if I don't knock him out or tap him out. So
How's that mentality? You know, being someone who, you know, obviously we look up to you, and we know you got robbed, but obviously there's going to be losses as well.
yeah,
So, you know, how does that weigh on you as a coach?
it does hurt a little bit, like seeing like my entire life, bro, my entire career, I be on the side V. Like I'm always like fighting like the champion or the face of the company, or the guy that is undefeated. I'm
Hmm.
always like in my whole life is been like that. So I'm always fighting against the wind, and a lot of times I get robbed. Like, and I told myself the day that I get my ass whooped and I get destroyed, I will retire that day. But in all my 12 years, there's not been one person. You can check all my fights that they like, oh, this guy whoop you, man. This guy ground and pound you, like almost choke you. This guy whoop your ass. No, all my fights, like there be like the losses that I have. If you check one by one, they be very controversial, just like this one. So I realize, like, how do my students or my fans will see me after I lose? A lot of them, bro. I haven't even checked my staff after my fight. I feel like I feel a little sad. Not sad. How do you say that word? I feel disappointed. Like, man, like how how as a business, you're a big company, a big fighting company. How don't you gonna judge a big fight like that correctly? Like, so I'm disappointed. Like, why I keep falling for this? Like, I keep falling for these big companies offer me like to fight the biggest guy they have, knowing that the only way I will win is if I knock him out. And I go with intention to knock them out or tap him out. But then after I do everything I can and I don't knock him out or submit him, and on my head, like, I did enough. Like, I did a lot to win. Like, I know I can win. And then they're like, oh, unanimous. I was, what? Unanimous to the other guy? Yeah, that kind of like, it hurts a little bit. It does hurt. But then I check the messages. I get thousands of messages like from friends, fans, say like, "Man, you won the fight." Like encouraging messages. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like no messages like, "Oh, you suck, retire." No, it's the opposite. Like so, they kind of like keep me motivated. That like when I read it, and sometimes I don't even want to reply because I'm still like, "Fuck, man, again, they did it again." You know? And I
Yeah.
I have like a bunch of fights like that, like big fights, like huge fights where like if I win that fight, I know I can take it to the next level, the last level, I would say. You know what I mean? But I don't know. It feel it hurts a little bit in the beginning, but then I guess like kind of used to it now.
Is it also just like you could teach someone about their life by teaching them jujitsu or boxing how to take something serious, right? Something that they want to grow. Just like I was mentioning a job, you know, it's not just about me punching in and punching out. It's about me knowing, you know, what are my deadlines? What are my goals? What do I need to get to those goals? What did I learn from other mistakes? What could I do better? And then being prepared, you know, not just being the 9 to 5, but you know, staying up late to make my day right so it goes easier, getting up earlier so that I'm, you know, set up right for my day. You learn all those things from going to the gym and training, and you can learn them from different things. But we're talking about gyms, and so in the gym you do learn those things. Um, as a coach, is it also your duty to teach someone how to go through those emotions of defeat or of being robbed, and then not being, well then fuck, you know, fuck MMA, or you know, forget all these things, and instead of, it's like, okay, I know I got robbed, there's nothing I can do about it other than get up, do it again, and prepare for the next fight.
Yeah, I actually, man, you'll be surprised. I have I don't know if you know, but I think I told you I have 50 academies now around the world
Yeah.
affiliated to Llamas competition team. and every academy has their own coach, have their own school, their own programs and stuff like that. But they on the Llamas competition team. Out of every academy, I have a bunch of fighters, professional fighters. A lot of those people always ask me like, "What should I do?" Or like, so I talk. I'm always on my phone talking to different fighters from different parts of the world, like telling him, like advising him, like or advising her, or advising them like what not to do, what to do before the fight. And it's been times that my students lose a decision that they shouldn't lose. And yeah, man, like I talk to them and I tell them like, look, at the end of the day, um, you do what you can control, and there's nothing else than to focus on what you can do and keep moving. If you let something like that affect you for the rest of your life, that's it. What's the point of keep doing it? But if you use this, and then for next time you're like, you know what? Next time I'm not gonna leave any doubts. Even if they steal it from me or rob me, I'm not gonna leave any doubts that I lost. Now you can be more happier about your loss. On my last fight, I lost, but it tasted like victory. You know what I mean? Like I lost, but everywhere I was going, like everybody was like, "Oh no, bro, you whoop him, you beat him." Everybody, even his own friends, even his people that train with him, they added me like, "Man, that was a good fight, man." Like I thought they were gonna give it to you, like like that. So now I don't really worry about too much of. But I do worry. I would like to win. You know, I would like to win, but if I get cheated, I don't invest my time worrying about being robbed or being cheated for that. So I tell them, I mean, I advise them with my experiences. Like that happened to me too, man. But the war isn't over. I'm still. Uh, it actually was better for me. Well, not better that I lost, but in a way it was good because now more people is talking about it. More people is telling me this. More people. If I would have win, oh, good job. That's it. It's over.
Yeah, I think a way of the way I see it, because I think about it too, because you're like, man, my coach got robbed, and then you start thinking about, are people going to be talking shit, or what's going to be the situation there. But then I think, with anything, with maturity, with growth, and understanding of the sport, you know the other guy might be the champion because of politics, because of marketing, and certain incentives for
Yeah.
them to keep him the champion. For the city, for the
The
organization, the
business.
Hall of Fame, the business part of it, right? But one thing that, for the people who maybe don't train, but they watch movies, right? They watch the Rocky movies and stuff. There's the business champ, and then there's the people's champ.
People's champ.
And I think you're the people's champ.
I feel that way too. Everybody telling me, and it feels great, bro. When people like that you don't even know, they're like, "Man, you won the fight. Like you're the true champ." And I was like, "Man, thank you, man. I appreciate that because sometimes we need, sometimes we need that extra motivation from people that appreciate your work. Like for people that didn't had no idea what I went through war, man, and that fight. But before that war, I did a greater, bigger war, losing 65 pounds in under 3 days, training 10 to 12 hours a day, no eating a lot, uh, like dehydrating myself to the max, running a business, taking care of my kid, taking care of my family in Mexico, teaching a bunch of stuff, producing music, a bunch of stuff, doing all these things. It was insane. And that was harder than the actual fight because 12 hours a day is a lot of work. Just training. I didn't do it straight, but I break it down during the day. And it was hard. That was a lot harder. So sometimes we like, what am I doing it for? And then I realized, well, I'm doing it to provide a better future for my son, for my family, to build a brand. And with that brand, use it to, I don't know, provide for my kids, for my loved one, and inspire others. And when people see that, that hard work and they say it, it kind of like said, okay, you know what? Thank you, I appreciate it, man. Like it's grateful. It's great that somebody see that hard work that you put into it.
Yeah, even watching you in the gym, it was a little bit different because you would see it and you're like, damn, this was losing a lot of weight. This was losing a lot of weight. And then I would talk to you and you're like, I still got so much to go. And I'm like, damn, that's crazy. And if you watch the sport too and you start getting more into it, you do see that it is used as to take advantage of the other opponent. Making him lose more weight than you necessarily need to lose.
Yeah.
Because then, there's that recovery between the weigh-ins and after that you can gain some of that weight back. And even other people, if they gain that weight back, it could hurt them.
Oh yeah.
So again, there's so much politics and there's so much the business side of it, because one person has that weight to say, no, you got to lose the weight or I'm not going to fight you.
Yeah.
That's I think that's something too that once I started getting more into the sport, because I remember back in the day, my friend, I'd be like, se están abrazando, fool. Like, those fools are always hugging. Won't they fucking fight? And then he's like, they're not. They're fucking doing jiu-jitsu, bro. I was like, man, fuck that shit. They're hugging, bro. Pinche jotos and shit. Yeah. Freaking let them fight. And then
stand him up.
Stand him up. And then later on, you get more respect for it. But then as you get more into it, you start seeing these scenarios where I'm like I said, he's not the people's champ. He's just a dude who has an advantage and is making other people go through a process so that they could keep their belt.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, for the organization, for the seats or whatever. And it sucks to see that. And it's just hard to say, like, is this person really the best when they did everything to have the advantage?
Yeah.
And it wasn't a fair fight. Speaking of fighting and fair fights and things like that, people, whenever I listen to people like Joe Rogan or someone talk about, their love for like ancient fighters, right? Hercules, I forgot what the other guy he won like 1,000 matches in a row, never lost. I forgot his name. And then there's the Japanese swords guy.
Mitsudo Maeda.
And then there's the Japanese guy. These people were fighting for bigger stakes and they're known till this day for what they did. The Japanese swordsman guy wasn't like, hey, I'll meet you at weigh-ins, and he was like, you got pedos, like, let's handle it. And it wasn't about size, it wasn't about age, it wasn't about experience. It was like, you want to get down, let's get down.
Yeah. But
they weren't getting down to where they were going to go back to their families.
Yeah.
One man was going to walk away.
Yeah.
And so it's like, is there, I've seen you in different sports. You've done bare knuckle, you do the cage fighting, the MMA, the boxing, jiu-jitsu, capoeira, you do all these things. Is there any sport that you're like, nah, that's too much? Because I know now there's like they're called King of the Streets. It's pretty much like no rules. They put you in a fight. You fight in parking lots and whatever the fuck. And it's kind of like bum fights a little bit, but what they do is it's an underground organized. So you still have to pay. There's still a payout. I think they were mentioning that there's no rules as far as like eye gouging, fighting, breaking bones, none of that. There's no rules against it. Kicks to the head, stomping the head. There's no rules. The only technical rule is that if you gouge eyes, you still win, but you don't get the prize money. Okay. I don't know, random ass rule. But is there?
That's a good one. Is there? It's easy to do that.
Would you ever, dip your toe in those things?
Well, honestly, I think it would be a lot easier for me to do that because, like, I can grapple. I can take somebody on the ground and control him there. Just in mind what I can do if I'm allowed to grab your head and smash on the ground. Just think about what can I do if I'm allowed to. I poke you after I control you in the ground. Yeah, it's gonna be way worse for my opponent.
How long would you have to train to defeat me?
But for you, I don't think I can fight you. You will like get me right away. But anybody else, I think I'm ready. Like, honestly, like, it's just like a street fight. It will be just like a street fight. And it's a lot harder to train for MMA fight than to train for a street fight. Because it's the same thing that's MMA. Exactly the same thing. The only difference is like we training not to kick in the balls. We training not to eye poke you. We training not to do those things. That doesn't mean I don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
I can use this. I can poke you.
When I go to your gym, I'm always amazed of how many things are going on. Like it's not just martial arts. You know, there's people cutting songs in the back. There's people breakdancing. There's people learning instruments. Um, and for people who don't, I guess maybe walk into that, they're like, man, this guy has his hands in everything. But it's more just you've had a unique journey, and you've have all these skills, and so you know share your studio. You have different things to do there. Um, Even for myself, I learned social work for one job, and then I learned, public services for another job. I've done boxing, I've done MMA with you, I do art with other people, and so it's just like you come into my house and yeah, you see all the different things that I do. Um, doesn't mean I'm the best at all those things, and not nor am I striving to be the best at all of them. I'm just doing them at my own pace and how I enjoy. But in your gym, you have kind of the same thing. It's kind of your footprint of all the things you've done. You have people breakdancing, people dancing, choreography. Those are all things you've done, and you've talked them often in interviews that I've heard from you. As you talk about, growing up, your start into the fighting world was apart from your neighborhood. It was a necessity to make a living and to care for other people, immigrating here, doing what you need to do, taking advantage of programs that would help you with, having financial assistance of, the schools. What was it? Time
No,
Warner? Was it Time Warner? Or
there
what
was no government or help. It was like when I was working for at that time it was Bright House.
Yeah, Bright House. They had a program that would
Yeah,
train
like
you, and then
I
you'd
had
have
to work for them and be there. Had to have like a specific grade, like I had to work for them for a certain amount of time, and then I qualified to go to school, but I had to basically pass in a high, like 90% and up.
yeah,
And then if I fail, I had to pay out of my pocket. And every test that I pass, I get $1 raise. And then after you get your engineering, you work for them for like certain amount of time. So like I worked for them for like 7 years. Yeah, 7 years.
and then from there you grew, trained at other gyms, you got your own gym, and now you're kind of going through the next journey of being the people's champ, and then being a coach, and going through the trials of being a coach, because I could imagine you see all types walk into your gym for all the types of reasons, and at the
Yeah.
same time people quit for all types of reasons and situations, just as how they what brought them in, what took them
Yeah.
out.
That's something that I start getting used to it. Like do not cling to anybody. Offer the best you can offer and let them like thrive, because I cannot want it more than you to become a champion.
Yeah.
You have to want it more than me, and I will match your energy. But if I want it more than you, you're not gonna do it. So I used to be like that. I used to like want everybody like, bro, like I was spending extra time like guiding them, like, and
trying
then
to unleash their potential.
motivate him, like work with them. Like you'd be surprised, bro. All these people that used to call me like 1 in the morning, 3 in the morning, or like people that have problems or depression or like drinking or like they wanted to quit, but they looking at a way to get out of that, and martial arts was the best thing. And then you spending all this time helping all these people, and then like 2-3 months later they're gone, they doing something else, so they went to another gym. And then I'm like, man, all this time that I spent with these people, like that I needed to do it, but I did it just because I wanted it more than they did it. So I learned not to cling to people. I learned to like give my best I can, but don't spend extra time in somebody that doesn't want it more than I want. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I perfectly understand that. And I think a lot of because I said I talked to other people about your gym, and we're doing interviews, and we start talking about jiu-jitsu and about, the programs that they're in, the schools that they're in, and kind of like the quirks of each trainer, just like their uniqueness and their own little rules. Like I talked about the logos and the push-ups. And then this girl was telling me that at her gym they have a fee. If you leave something behind, you got to pay $1 to get it back. And I was just like, that's random. I see that more as stealing than I do someone telling you, hey, buy a shirt.
Add that to the gym.
But as we were talking about those things, I noticed that the rules you came up with and the things that you everybody has for their gym, they weren't just these random things. There were things that as things arise or as issues arise, they try to find a solution through training.
Yeah.
And so I told her about, I was telling this one girl about how he'll tell people like, oh, you weren't listening, go do 1,000 push-ups or something. Go do 100 push-ups. And you laugh. I would laugh about it at first. I'm like, who's gonna do that many push-ups? Like, they're not even gonna have time to train if they're
Yeah.
doing 100 push-ups, you know. But I think if I was someone trying to find solutions or trying to weed out, you know, characteristics of people, there's the person who who's gonna sit there, max out, and, take a breath, try to do a couple more, and then eventually be like, I don't think I'm gonna make it to 100 push-ups. But hey, I got 50 so far. Let me get to 60, and let me try to get to 70, and let me try to get to 80, and let me try to get to 90, and then shit, man, I think I might do the 100. And then there's the guy who's gonna be, is he looking? Is he looking? Oh, I did 50. Oh, is he looking? Oh, I'm on 70. Oh, is he looking? Oh, I'm on 80. You know, they're and those are characteristics. They like you said, they're little things that will show who you really are.
Yeah. I think, like, for some reason, I'm really good at training kids, and like I punish them with exercise in a fun way.
Yeah.
And something I love, bro, is like the response of the parents whenever they come. Like, I can't make them do anything at home. Like, they have a mess in the house. They don't listen. They're always screaming. Um, when I'm here, like, they doing better. And then, like, month later, like, thank you. Like, they doing their homework now. They have more discipline. They don't scream at me. They don't yell at me. Like, and then 3 months later, 4 months later, like, straight A student, like, they lost a lot of weight. They're they're nicer to us. Like, that to me, that's the best thing I can get. Like, whenever I change somebody's life through martial arts. And for some reason, I think God gave me this gift to be patient with the kids. Like, in a way, I'm making them work hard. But one here and there, they're always playing, turn around and screaming or paying attention. And I punish them with exercise. And the best way is like they get exhausted and they know not to do certain things because they're gonna get more push-ups or more exercise to do. So they start learning the discipline. They start learning like to pay attention. They start learning to like be clean or to do things that they're not supposed to. And after we finish training, we all clean. So they learn how to clean. They learn how to put things away. So now the parents, they start seeing that. For example, my son, whenever he's playing with his toys, whenever he finishes, he knows where to put his toys. I don't have to tell him no more. He drop water, he knows where the mop. He knows how to mop it. Now he don't wait for me to clean it because he knows now. And those little details carry on with him. And then eventually, the parents start seeing those things too, like with the other kid. Like, and the moment they take him out of school or training, go back to what it used to be. So something I love the most is like being able to change somebody's life for the good, and it gives me joy.
Yeah.
But there's some kids that, man, oh my god, and just adults too. Like, you try your best, and they still messing around. They still like playing around. They still playing around, and those are the one that you have to have the most patience. Those are the one that you have to like push more because those are the ones that need you the most. I had some students that they used to be in gangs. Like, they were like 14, 15. They were like horrible, like bad, and like, oh man, they were in trouble big time. And one of the parents told me like, why you always like talking to them and guiding them instead of like my kid or my student or my kids or my other guys.
Mm-hmm.
And I told him like, um, sometimes in life you're gonna find out that some people might need you a little bit more than other people. And at that moment, that person needed me the most because these people, I didn't want to tell them their private life or what they're going through, but like, as a coach, you have to like understand that too. And somehow, like a lot of people that come and train with me, they have trust in me, and they tell me their life, and I try my best to like give them advice or like help them out at one point. But whenever their life change for the good, or when people tell you like, thank you, man, you changed my life, like that has no price. That has no price. And everybody has their own demons, everybody has their own problems in their head, and everybody fights their own demons differently. And I have my own demons, you have your own demons, and your demons might be different than mine. But there's some people that has like a lot of demons, like crazy demons, and those are the people that got pushing your way, and they're above. Let's see what you got,
Test your might.
and then test you.
I think one thing when I talked about when you start having that feeling of family when you're going somewhere. Obviously, it's not like blood family or a crazy relationship, but it's more of a of having the same mentality, similar goals, similar growing pains of getting through certain things. Um, you do notice like some people have some demons, you know, things that are hard in their life, and they're getting it out in training. Sometimes for the good, sometimes for the bad. Because I remember there would be kids there that you're like, man, this kid's really good. Like he's been training for a long time, but the way that they would treat other people, you're like, man, this fool gets beat at home or something like, or
Yeah.
this guy has some issues, some out of this gym that is affecting them. And then you see other people who, you know, when someone has certain drug uses, those mannerisms, they don't go away.
Yeah.
No matter if they're how long they're clean, or if they change their religion, their perspectives. They could change everything, the way they dress, the way they paint their face, the way they could change everything. But those little mannerisms, they never go away, and you can always notice it. And you see those people come in, and you train with them for a while, and then once you get to know them, once you know, you have those moments between classes or during the breaks that you're trying to get your breath back, you know, they do make comments about, you know, how it affected their life to train. You know, getting taking them from depression to, you know, not like, oh, I'm the champ now, but more of, you know, I'm taking care of
I'm doing
myself. I have
something with my
goals. I
life.
have
Yeah.
goals. I have things that bring me joy, away from drugs, away from whatever the issues that they're having.
I feel, bro, that we are in a place right now that we creating, no we, but I mean the world, we creating a society of victims rather than warriors or fighters, or rather than, because every little thing now somebody has a comment or a opposite um, idea of it, and instead of like just doing your own thing of figuring what you're gonna do with your life, you find a way to shut other people's comments down, or take other people's ideology of how to see life in another way that you think is fit. Meaning, a lot of families, so they're allowing their kids to talk back to them, to be disrespectful. Uh, you used to, for example, when I was a kid, my only job was like to study, to like pass and stuff like that, and provide for my family, because it was me, my brother, my grandma. That's it. Now, you, a 6, 7 year old, get a V in a regular test. The parents give them an iPhone. They're rewarding them for something that shouldn't be rewarded, and they use that iPhone or that phone or that game to spend time doing something irrelevant with their life, rather than go play, go to learn some ethical behavior, go practice, go do something with your life. Right now, that kid life doesn't exist anymore. Like, we used to go play outside. We used to go
Yeah.
play marbles. We used to run, chase cows, dog, like go climb trees. That doesn't exist anymore. And right now, you say one word that my other people might feel offended. It's a big deal. They try to shut you down. They call you these names and blah blah blah, and they try to ruin your life because something that you say. But we supposed to have like freedom of speech, but it's no longer freedom of speech anymore because you say something and it's all bad. So I feel that sports give you an outlet because you're gonna be too tired to be depressed. You're gonna be too tired to be wondering like doing drugs. So you're gonna be too busy training or too busy working out, too busy competing than to find the wrong crowd. Most likely the people you're gonna surround yourself when you're doing sports is people that is healthy, people that have some goals, people that wanna do something with their life. And if you hang out with people that doesn't have goals, you pretty much gonna end up in the wrong crowd,
Yeah.
and you're gonna pick up their habits, and then you wanna wonder like, why my kid is doing drugs, why my kid is doing this. What do you think? You didn't put into sports. You didn't put into do something that is physical. You need a physical activity to make you not a victim, because then that person start, they have no job, no have career, no dreams, no goal, and he's taking all the time for their other family, and he relies on those people, and they think the government or the world owes him something instead of him doing something for their life, and they become victims in society rather than you teach somebody ethical behavior, discipline, hard work. Surround yourself with good people. Like all the people at the gym, they work and they pushing hard. Surround yourself with like positive minded. Surround yourself in a good environment. What better than a gym? All these people right here, they working, they putting time into it. So whenever you grow up with those, I would say like aspirations in life, and you have the persistence, success is inevitable. It's gonna happen.
How do you balance all those things? Like you like I said, talked about all the different things I do, but you do many things.
I'm in my a spot in my life that everything that I'm doing it is because I have a passion for it. And the best thing is I make a living doing it. So I love training. I love doing music. I love fighting. Uh, I love taking photos, videos. Like I enjoy it, and I make a living doing that. So um, it wasn't like that when I first started. It took me a long time to learn how to edit. It took me a long time to invest in like good cameras. It took me a long time to learn how to fight, how to learn how to practice, and then eventually. But I wasn't doing it to make a living. Like I didn't know I was gonna have a business like that. I was doing it because I was a kid and I had passion for it. I love rapping. I love like seeing my videos on YouTube, or like back then it was MySpace. Like, man, look at that video, I made it. And it didn't cost me a thing. And then I start getting a little better every time, and then people start asking me, how much will you charge me to do a video? I was like, okay, this much. And then whenever I get paid, that money I flip it. I buy more green screens, more lights, more lenses, more memory cards, better computer. So I started like little by little getting professional equipment, and thanks to that professional equipment, the quality was better, greater. Then I started getting better, finding new tricks, how to do this, how to do that, and then mostly for my own personal um, music, more personal videos. And then I got to the point like I was charging decent amount that with one video I can survive the entire month. Like, man, I charging like $3,000 for this. Or I'm charging, and then I was like, you know what? If I do this more, I can make a living doing it, like a decent living. And if I combine it with other things that I do, because I also making living training, teaching, fighting, my sponsors, I can invest all that money and buy my own gym, buy my own studio, buy my own place. And the last time I worked, man, it was I think 2012. That was the last time I worked for somebody. After that, I haven't worked for nobody. I do my own thing. I go out of the country whenever I want. I travel. I do music. I just collaborated with the game.
I saw that.
I have another song coming out with Joel Ortiz. I have another two songs with some other guys from Wu-Tang Clan. That's from my new album. And I did a TV show with Daddy Yankee in Miami for like
I remember that.
two,
Dude, I think you mentioned it and you were like, oh, you should check it out. And man, I remember I binge watched that thing. I watched the whole thing. There was no show without you.
right?
That like how you said the business and the marketing, had you not been there to be, goofy and laughing and talking about the things you were talking about, they would have to have come up with something like, hey, you're gonna have to sleep with what's the name, or you're gonna have to sucker punch this guy.
Yeah.
You're gonna they would have to have been involved so much to instigate shit, because it was just like, it was just a good time. Everybody's having a good time. People hating on you. Shit
Everybody
was
was
hilarious.
hating me, man.
Hella
Everybody was hating.
hating on you.
But the best part is like I was beating them, like I had a broken hand in the show and I was beating them with a broken hand and they had nothing else to do but to hate. And that made the show big, and knowing me, like you talk back, like you do something to me, I'm not gonna let you punk me. That's what started. Like I didn't let nobody punk me. Like you try to punk me, I'm gonna punk you back. In one of the episodes, I actually just posted on social media. No, I haven't. I edited it. I'm gonna post it. We were in the band going to I think we were doing a challenge, and I was like chilling by the band by the window, and Danny, my arch enemy, we weren't that enemy back at that moment, but we were having a little issues already. Somebody spilled water. He was sleeping in the corner, and there was Oscar and another guy, and I think one of them did it.
Mhm.
Like they tried to wake him up with a little bit of water, right? So, and I was not part of that. I was just doing my own thing by the window, chilling, kind of sleeping. And then I just felt like a lot of water in my back, and I was like, "What the heck, man?" And it was him, Danny, thinking that I did it.
Mhm.
He just did it like, "Fuck you!" He said something, splash me. I was like, "All right." I don't like vengeance. I don't. But I'm not gonna let you punk me. And I look at him, and I was like, all right, I'll get you back. And he's like, oh, fuck you. Why you throwing water at me? I was like, I didn't do it. It wasn't me. But don't worry about it. I'll get you back. So then, next day, there was a challenge who kicked the fastest. They say, this is a funny one. You see the one that fast kicks? If you see this one, you're gonna be laughing like crazy. They say, you're gonna kick this pad as fast as you can for 1 minute. The one that kicked the most in 1 minute wins.
I remember that challenge, yeah.
Okay, so Lebo, he went and started kicking like crazy, like heavy, and then Danny, he started jumping and kicking like. It was fast, and then the other guy, everybody was jumping and kicking to create like momentum. I was like, if I don't jump, I just do this. I'm gonna save time. Right? I can win. And I was the last one in that challenge. I don't think they're gonna copy me because I'm gonna be the last one. So I did that. Everybody started laughing. Like even the music of the reality show, they put like a funny background music. And I was also like, I knew that was what I was about to do. It's gonna look funny. It's gonna look weird, because it's not a technical kick. No. I can kick, but they didn't ask who can do the most powerful or most technical. They say who kick the fastest. So in my head was like, that's the way. So I just did this. Everybody started laughing, the music in the background, and even pull my shorts up, and I squat like a stretch, and I ended up winning. So after I win the challenge, I grabbed a bottle, and I went to Danny, and I threw on his face like, y te bendijo en el nombre del Padre, del Hijo, del Espíritu Santo, in front of everybody. And then he was pissed because I just beat him on the challenge, and then I just splashed water on his face. And then he got mad, and he came to me like, but he didn't act like he wanted to fight. Mm-hmm. He just wanted to like make me look bad. And he said, we were not without shirt. And he said like, look at his stomach. Like, he looks like a champion, or do I look like a champion? How old are you? And I was like 21. And he's like, no, you're not. You're like 28 or something like that. So even when he tried to make me look bad, I was trolling him. And he said, I'm the future of this sport. And I was like, and he left, and I was like, ooh.
No, I remember you both giving each other a lot of shit. Speaking of like perception of you and stuff. I know your thing is the leg lock monster,
Black Look Monster.
and I would go as far as that your notoriety for that or your fame for it surpasses just you. I think even when we go training, people will mention like they don't want your student. They tell their students to watch out for your students because not that they're breaking ankles, not that that's what they do. Rather, your fame for it is so much that they're like, I bet you this fool knows something. So
Yeah.
careful,
Careful with the legs.
careful with that. And just because we're gonna hit it, we're gonna hit 2 hours to finish this up. What do you want to be known as? Like
Out there. I'm right, man. Like, I'm writing a book, but it's 12 books, and the name of the book
Lord of the
is "De cenizas a llamas,"
Uh-huh.
from ashes to flames. The first book is "Naciste para mí," bro. Oh my god, I'm gonna translate it in 5
This guy
minutes.
does everything, huh?
I want to known as an author because my whole life since I was a kid, like I always write poetry, like words, like I love it. I love writing. It was actually asked me like, and I love writing. Check this out, man. Like the first book is called "Naciste para mí." You were born for me. Okay, that's the first, and all the 12 books together, they combine and they made the entire thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna put like the Lord of the Ring or different like Harry Potter. Number 1 first, number 7, number 5, like in between, and then when you put all the 12, they all make sense. The first one, check this out. Just imagine 10,000 years ago, it was this king and this queen, and they used to live back in Egypt, close to the ocean, right there. And in this time, they have no wars, they have no problems. He was a very just king, and he was very connected with his consciousness. He was very connected with his balance in life. He understand the difference, the ethical behavior between bad and wrong, good or bad. She wasn't connected as much as he was with his chakras, with his consciousness, with his meditation. He didn't understand it as much, but she was next to him, and she was supportive of everything. And he understood, like, maybe it's not her time to be ready for things like that, because for something like that, you have to want it. You want to do it. So, anyways, they both have like certain things in common, and they both like the blue color, like the baby blue. They used to go walk on the beach and do a lot of things together. He knew everything about him, and he knew everything about her, and vice versa. So one day, whenever they're walking on the beach, he found a rock, a blue rock, like a nice, beautiful rock. And then he started like shaping the rock, like fixing it, making it look really nice. And he gave it to her in a necklace as a proof of their love.
Mm-hmm.
So time passed, and they die. And then on the next life, he reincarnated as a fisherman. And she reincarnated another person, but with the time was passing, he started remembering like the previous life. He had flashbacks. And he's like, man, I used to be a king. Man, I used to have a queen. Oh my God. So he started remembering the life that he has in his previous life. So he started fishing around the world looking for her. He couldn't find her. Time passed. He died, and then she died. And then the next life, he was a mechanic. And then he started remembering his previous life, fisherman, and then king. So he started fixing cars around the world, looking for her. He died, time passed, and then she died. They both reincarnated, but she didn't remember anything. She was just living life like another human. Time passed, then he became a warrior in the next life. So he fought in a lot of different wars, and then he remembered all the stuff. He died in war. And the next life, and then he was a chef. And then the next life, he died, the same thing. And then he was a dancer. And then time passed, and then he was a construction guy. And then the next life, he was a dancer. So 100 lives passed. And then the last life, he's like, you know what? I'm not want to do anything. I just gonna spend my time looking for her. So then he meditated, and he had an astral projector. Astral projection is called a hyper incursion. Whenever you have an astral projection with your intuition, with yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and then he asked himself, and his intuition told him, "Go to Puerto Vallarta. She's gonna be there. I know. I have the feeling that she's gonna be there." And then he's like, "All right, man, let's go to Puerto Vallarta." So he went to Puerto Vallarta. He was homeless. He didn't have no material attachment.
Mm-hmm.
So he moved over there, and he lived under the bridge, and everything he had, it was right there. So one day he was walking by the beach, and then he saw this two-story apartment, like a huge window. He saw her there with another guy. They were arguing, and he's like, "Oh my God, that's her! Oh my God, oh my God!" So excited, he got so happy, and then he went down, and then he started looking at the window, and the guy and the girl, they were like screaming to each other. The guy grabbed a picture and threw it on the wall. A break fell, and then she grabbed the picture, and then he just ran down the stairs, took off with a fancy ass car, and then she came down running, crying, chasing him with the broken picture, and then she left. He left, and then she walked close to the trash can, and by the trash can there was like some bushes, and that's where the homeless guy was there. And then he looked at her like, "Oh my God, that's her. Like, I don't want her to see me like this. Like, last time she saw me, I was a king. I think she's gonna feel like embarrassed. Like, no, I know where she lives. So what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go back to the bridge, meditate with my higher self, ask him what should I do, because I finally found her after 10,000 years, man." So he went, and then he meditated, and he asked him again, like, "Okay, I found her, man. Thank you so much for telling me. Like, we found her. What should I do?" And then he tells him, like, "I prohibit you to see her. You cannot be with her. In this life, she's with someone else, and you cannot do something to someone that you don't wish for yourself. So in this reality, she doesn't belong to you, and you don't belong to her." And he's like, "Man, you crazy. You lie. Like, what? Why are you telling me to come all this way, and now you telling me I cannot see her? Like, that doesn't make any sense." So he's like, "I'm serious. Don't look for her." So then he's like, "You know what? I don't need you, man. I can do it by myself. I've been doing this for 10,000 years. Why you think now I need you?"
This is already getting pretty deep because there's a lot of underlining of you trusted a system, and once that system didn't give you the result you wanted, you want to leave the result, and then also the fear of another 1,000 years,
Or maybe more, or maybe never. You know what I mean? That scares.
that taking over your decisions, and yeah, that's crazy.
So he's like, I'm not gonna listen to you. I'm gonna find her. Like, she's the love of my life. She was created for me, and I was born for her." So he cut his hair however he could. He put the best worst clothes he had, with less holes, and he went next day in the morning, because he knew she likes to walk on the beach in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
So he waited for her 1 hour, 2 hours, and she finally comes down, and she started walking on the beach, and he started walking behind her, and then she feels a presence, like, man, like, because rich people, you see a homeless guy like that, you think the worst.
Yeah.
This guy's gonna try to stab me or rob me or take my stuff or do something. So she felt like that. Then she was walking, and then she saw this homeless guy walking, and remember, he was homeless, like beard, crazy hair, like ugly ass clothes, and she all fancy rich.
I'm looking in the mirror like, hey, what the fuck?
Like a Raider sweater.
Fuck.
So then she started getting worried, and then he comes and tells her, like, "Hi, I'm Ben Elohim, but in this life, just call me JC. What I'm about to tell you is gonna sound weird, but you were born for me, and I was created for you." And then she's looking like, "What the?"
Then the soundtrack comes in.
Like, what's wrong with this guy? Like, who's this guy? And like, please don't be afraid. Just let me explain. What I'm about to tell you is gonna sound weird. So he started telling her, like, all the life that he lives, and all the way till they were king back in Egypt, and she was his queen, and she started looking for help, like looking around, like desperate, like like, but nobody's around,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like, I'm sorry, please wait, don't be afraid, like I know you more than you know yourself, and I know you're scared of the darkness, and I know you love to travel. I know you want a big family, but you're scared of love. I know blue is your favorite color, and I know you like to walk on the beach when the hear the waves and the birds with the birds when there's no storm. And I know you're your own architect because you like to create your own destiny. He started telling her every little detail that she loved to do.
He bought her data from some type of company. He knows everything about her.
He knows everything about her, and she thinks like nobody knows this. Like I have never told anybody about these things. Like this guy's a scammer. This guy, he's probably spying on me. Like he started entering more panic rather than like, oh, he is who he say he is. So she got more worried, and then that's when he realized like that's why my intuition told me not to see her, because my intuition didn't want me to feel this pain that I'm feeling right now. He already felt that pain. So he told me not to see her so I don't feel this pain that, oh my God, now I get it. And then he tells her, like, you know what? I'm sorry. I just wanted to meet you. It was just an excuse. I let you go so I can go dance with you in my dreams and kiss you again. And I know in this reality, I don't belong to you and you don't belong to me. And in your material world, I'm worthless. Have a nice day, and I will always love you. And then he touched her shoulder and start walking. And then whenever he touched her shoulder, she started remembering everything, like all her previous life, all the way until he gave her the blue necklace.
Damn, I was waiting for that shit. I was waiting. I was like, no, he should have given her the stone. I touched her back.
Give her the blue necklace. So whenever she was remembering all that stuff, she pulled out of her bra like that same stone that she received when she was a queen back in Egypt. How did she got it? We don't know. So then she's like, "Oh my God, this everything is true." And then he turned around. He's not there. He took off. And then she started looking for him. Time passed, and he died. And then she died. In the next life, he reincarnated in a plant, passion fruit, and she reincarnated in a woman. And she looked for him everywhere. She couldn't find him. And the plant died eventually. She died eventually. And then time passes. Well, if you see her, okay, if you see her, tell her that I'm still looking for her.
That's crazy. So you're actually talking to the person reading the book. That's crazy. That's fucking. That's a trip.
I short as much as I could, but it's like a long ass book.
No, I heard what you're saying too, and it had a lot of lessons. And I'm sure there's the the what they call them, the typical parts of a story. The 5 acts and all that. Yeah. I have a question, I guess, for someone who who fights for a living, right? For many things, not just in the ring, but one thing that kind of like wraps up what we talked about already: people feeling entitled, of having a certain perspective of certain things. One thing that I notice about those people that we all admire for being warriors is that they reach a point, and if they reach getting older, right? Some of them die in the ring. Some people die young, and they can't face their losses, or they can't face certain things that happen in their life, and they do pass away young. But the ones who we have a record of getting older, they seem to have a characteristic of wanting peace with themselves, with the world, and we would probably call them like a pacifist. Someone who just who doesn't really want to use violence anymore, or make a living from it. So if you, for example, the guy we were talking about who was the samurai guy, who goes going around killing people since he was a kid, fighting whoever he could, and like I said, people have tattoos, people have paintings of this guy. I can't remember his name, but Matio something, But anyways, the guy, eventually, becomes a peaceful person at the end, wanting to be, retired and just kind of be an old man and be at peace with himself.
But he can't.
Well, yeah, when you're that person, if you're not that person, how do you know? You just have this perspective of them. And then, you see Mike Tyson and you see him, he's the baddest motherfucker. Everybody respects him. But you see him struggling to find peace with himself and peace with other people. And he still loses his shit,
Yeah.
and deals with those people.
I
But I have a conversation I always have in philosophy with people. And it has to do with entitlement and with well, let me tell you. So there's two people, right? And I thought about writing a kind of like a philosophy book on it and then getting a little bit deeper on it, but I like your input on it. So one thing is there's a guy who was a killer, right? For whatever means, military or whatever,
Yeah.
killer, and decides I don't want to be violent anymore. I'm gonna be I guess what we're gonna call a pacifist, right? I'm not gonna resort to violence, so I'm just gonna be at peace with myself and be peaceful with others. And then there's another guy, quadriplegic, born that way, never been in a fight, can't fight, and he says I'm a pacifist. If they both have that mentality, then that's true. They both are pacifists. But if you look at the real potential and the real ability, not just the name and the title, they're not the same person.
No, no.
But yet we would give them that label.
Well, I feel that
I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say.
yes, yes, but no, it's not the same. You cannot label people by they want to be is by their actions. And for example, if you go there killing people, that is gonna hunt you down for the rest of your life. It doesn't matter if you're pacifist or become a monk, you're gonna deal with those demons for the rest of your life. Now, if you're fighting for a sport and there's no personal interest of the opposite opponent of what you're causing harm, I don't think that really affects you in that matter because it's a sport and never took it personal. You never killed nobody. It was just a sport. And the way I see it, I never take any of my fights personal. Like I don't really hate my opponent. I'm actually respect them because to step in the ring with me, it's not an easy thing to do. You know what I mean? So if you punch me like this mother flower work his ass off to be able to do that, because not many people can do that. So rather than hate him, I'm like, you know what? I'm grateful that you made me better. Because for like 2 3 months, I worked my ass so hard to be able to defeat you. And thanks to those 3 months, you excelled me. You made me push limits that I never did. You made me like work so hard that made me a better person. So I'm grateful for those guys. Rather than be fighting my demons like, oh, I hurt this person, I hurt this guy, I hurt this guy, I did this bad. And I'm pacifist. I think my entire life I'm pacifist. I don't like to fight. But I will fight for a sport. I will fight to provide for a family. I will fight to provide for my living. But if somebody look for me and try to fight for no reason, I just turn around and walk away. There's no point. Now, if I have to, yeah, I will fight. I will fight. Even if I don't like fighting. Like, you will never see me fight on the street. Never. And I have well, I used to. But now, like, I avoid it to the max. But if I have to, yeah, I'll fight if I have to.
Do you and we'll wrap up with this last question. Um what's your perspective on someone who can't defend themselves?
I think it's different aspects of that because he cannot defend himself because they don't want to train or because they have some, in, I don't know, like a natural cause that doesn't allow them to train, to move, to do things like that. I would say for the people that doesn't want to learn to defend themselves, it's an old saying that it's better to be a warrior in the garden than to be a gardener in the war. You want to be prepared for a war. You don't want to cause war, but you want to prepare. Than rather to be a gardener, like, oh, I don't fight. I'm only a gardener. Like, the thing is, you want to face situations in life, want it or not, where you have to like stand out for yourself and for the ones that you love. And if you don't know how to deal with that, you will regret not taking advantage of that. Now, if you cannot train because you have some type of condition, um, that would be messed up that somebody tried to hurt those people. That would be like somebody without ethical behavior, or like some people that just have problems. Um, and also like I'm a fair person, a just like if you do something wrong, I think you should answer for that. It doesn't matter if you disabled. It doesn't matter if you the strongest person in the world. Like if you do something wrong, you gotta answer for those wrong things that you did. I'm not saying like kill and beat him up. Sure, no. Like you gotta answer to somebody.
Yeah, whether it be the law of the land or God.
Exactly. Like you have to answer. So that doesn't give you the I'm disabled. I can say whatever I want. Like they respect you and your family, your kid. Just because I'm disabled, you cannot do nothing to me. No. I'm a fair person. If you do something wrong, you should answer for your wrongs. Now I'm also, let's say somebody come and try to beat you up for no reason, and or just try to hurt you for no reason, and I'm there. Of course I'll step up. But hey, stop! What's going on? But he did this. Iceberg did this thing. But he got to answer to somebody, not to you though, right? And I will protect. I will do my best to protect that. But I cannot protect you for answering to who you're supposed to answer for your problem. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I do believe like I'm a fair person. Like you do something wrong, you gotta answer to somebody. I'm not gonna be the judge. I'm not gonna judge you for your wrongs. I will protect you if I have to. If somebody tried to kill you, yeah, and then you answer your wrongs to whoever you're supposed to answer. And I'm not gonna let just nobody come and like, oh, well, he said this to me. Well, take it in a legal way, rather than like try to hurt somebody.
Or grow, move on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think what you said about the gardener is very true of what we've been talking about. Of being an ethical person, being a good person, being someone who's trying to evolve and grow, but not letting it traumatize you. Those lickings that you're gonna have to get here and there, those ass whoopings. Not letting it get the best of you, not letting life get the best of you. Because it is better to be a warrior in the garden. That's actually my degree is in public service, right? Public administration. And our most famous like role model of being a good government leader his name is Cincinnatus, and the city of Cincinnati is named after him, right? He was a Roman general who had retired, right? He'd fought his battles. He was well known for his good quality as a general, as a fighter. And he retired. He retired to be a farmer. So he farmed his own land.
Nice.
And the Roman Empire was at war, I think, with the Persians or some other people. And they needed help. So they reached out to Cincinnatus. They're like, hey, this is a big war and we got to win it. So we need you to come back and fight. And he's like, well, to win this fight, it's going to take this, and that, no? So they make him a tyrant, which now we could talk about a tyrant. It's an evil person,
yeah.
But in that time, a tyrant was a person with absolute power. Some people can abuse it, right? In the way we think of it, it's not a tyrant. But no, it was just like, hey, no questions asked. I'm in charge. Do this, do that. That's the rule. This is the rule. Move forward, So he became a tyrant and he won the war, right? In a speedy war, he just fucking burned through it and finished it. And at that point, he was the tyrant. So why he's considered a person of good quality as a public servant was that once he won that war, they awarded him absolute power, but he didn't keep it. He gave it up. He goes, I'm going to go back to my farm.
Yeah.
And the story goes that they had to go to have another war. And this time his son wasn't, being an ethical person, so they leveraged it on him. They're like, if you don't fight this war, we're gonna, imprison your son.
Damn.
So they made him a tyrant again. He goes and he wins the war and goes back to his farm. So he's considered a person of how we should act as public servants. We shouldn't strive for power to hold it over people. Rather, our power is a necessity to make a better future for our community, to preserve our community. And when the time comes for you to give up power, you shouldn't fight to keep it. Rather, you should accept that this is just a part of the whole thing, and that we created a system that would move everybody forward. And it doesn't mean me being a tyrant. There might have been a situation where we needed the tyrant to preserve what we had, but once that threat is gone, we let it go.
Yeah.
And as public servants, we see it all the time with, how we, how they manipulate us with wars and this and that. And it's all generated to our perspective of it is of people trying to keep power, people trying to keep wealth, people trying to keep resources, rather than, just saying, hey, a public servant isn't a life career. Public service is a part of your life as a duty, and then you move on.
Yeah.
But I think that sums up a lot of what we've talked about of character and how your philosophy will affect how you approach life, how you approach anything, whether you want to be an artist, whether you want to be a DJ, whether you want to be a musician, whether you want to be an MMA fighter. There's certain principles to all of it. And if you can dedicate yourself to one thing and unlock those rules and those principles of mentality, you've already become an artist. You've already become all these things. It's just a matter of you applying yourself, because you have all the tools, you have all the mentality, and it's just a matter of doing it at that point.
Yeah, I remember you just asked me earlier that about how do I able to manage all these things that I do. And this is a funny thing. I just do it. Like, because it's a passion. And yesterday, I was talking to Kay as well. And everything that you just said, it can transfer to these simple words that I'm actually, it's in one of my songs on my new book as well. Like, sometimes we work so hard for something and we don't accomplish it. And we doubt ourselves and we like, man, we working so hard for something, but I don't see progress, or I don't see this, or I don't see that. Like, discipline, hard work are the key for a successful beginning. But sometimes it doesn't take you to where you want to go. Sometimes life will take you to where you need to be. And where you need to be at that moment is the greater good, the impact that you're going to cause, the chain reaction that you're going to create by being there. Even though you want to do this, or you want to do that, or you wanted to win. Like, for example, my fight, maybe it wasn't my time to win. Even though I won, life took me to another direction, and it needed me to be there. So should I be mad about it, or should I take that and flip it and do something with that?
Yeah.
And I think that's what's gonna happen. Like, you are required by the universe to be in a specific area, even if it goes against what you want to do. Sometimes you just have to be there. Why? Because maybe there's somebody that needs you there that you might even not know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely the truth of success, and trying to, also accepting, whatever your situation is, that not to be, delusional, and at the same time, making the best of a situation. Maybe, you didn't become the greatest artist. It's like the art that I learned from a guy who had been doing his art his whole life, decided to quit his job and become a full-time artist, and he's been a good artist. He's making a living being an artist. But then he started teaching these classes, and so then I met him through a podcast, right? A podcast I don't even do anymore. I do this one now, but I was doing a different one in the studio, and
I met him, and then that led to conversations later on where he's like, "Hey, come over to my house. I'm teaching this class. You know, it'd be good to have some support. You know, some day ones. You know." So I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, go check it out." And next thing you know, like this last week, I was at a gallery asking the guy what I need to do to submit my art, and then and so it went. Maybe he won't become the greatest artist. His maybe his paintings won't be known forever. Like Picasso and Leonardo da Vinci. Maybe his name will die out. It's possible, right? But because he taught me something, and then I taught someone else, then that guy gets to be the Da
Yeah.
Vinci. That guy gets to be
The
the
same reaction could cause it.
yeah. And you shouldn't get so caught up on what success is.
And
Rather,
this is especially for artists, and artists are the one that has like the hardest competition. Is so many artists like musicians, dancers, art, like writers, poetry, and it's the hardest way to succeed in one because it's so many of them. It's so much competition. A lot of them they quit halfway. They don't see progress, but they define progress by what media says is success. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And we don't see the actual impact that we are doing. For example, I love when my son comes and start playing the piano. I love when my son comes and like start working on the studio with me. I love when I see my son punch in the back, kicking like maybe my purpose in life was to inspire transcendence in other people, rather than be the greatest artist or be the greatest fighter. But what I'm passing on and how many people I can impact with what I do. That's what purpose, that's what progress is, that's what success is. Changing people's life with what you do. And I see it that way. But before it was the opposite. I was so urgent to like, man, I need to make $1 million hit, $1 million hit. I need to like fight Canelo, Mayweather. I need to fight all these guys to make millions. But then I realized like, but I don't think that's my call.
yeah. Those were outside thoughts taking over your thoughts. Noise. I think that goes back to the conversation I had about COVID when I was sitting there and I was like, "Fuck, I might die," but I've never been so at peace with myself,
Mm.
where I knew that I didn't hurt nobody, that I was a decent person, that I didn't leave my family having to wash cars or something, or I'd be
They
the
will be
endo,
sad.
or that everybody was gonna be taken care of, and I'm always gonna have my haters, whatever. Glad I'm dead, whatever. But I went out in a way that wasn't how I imagined. Right? I always imagined like being wealthy, having my shit together, having certain things, the car, the house, the living situation of being at peace with myself because I don't need more. I have more than enough. I could be happy. But in that moment where I didn't have more than enough, where I was still, having to month my checks and, who knows what's gonna happen next, and I was so at peace with myself,
Yeah.
and I just enjoyed that moment, and it wasn't what I always wanted, to have all those things. I wasn't like, fuck, I fell short of my goals. I was like,
Yeah.
I was just happy to check out where I was checking out.
Yeah. I feel the same. I even said something I learned like couple weeks ago. If I die today, I will die happy. Not from the life that I live. Besides, it's just by the people that I made happy, by the people that I help, by the people that somehow my I don't know my life affected in a good way. You know what I mean? Like I will die happy because same thing. Like my son will be taken care, my family will be taken care, and of course, it's gonna be always somebody that's gonna cry for you and stuff like that. But that will pass. What I live on is the imprint that you leave behind them, and and that's forever on their mind. That's forever. And if the material things will go, like it doesn't matter like how fancy. I mean, it's nice to have nice things if you afford it and it's money's not a problem. It's nice to travel the world. I love to travel, so whenever I can, I do it. But the greatest part is the freedom that I have, and the freedom that I live my life, and doing that, and with that freedom that I have, inspiring others, helping others. That's all. Like, I was thinking, like, if I die today, like right now, I'm like, okay, I did what I wanted to do. I helped as much as I could, and I know my son will be like sad for a little bit, but I know he will be taken care. And I think that's the greatest feeling you can feel.
Where can people find everything about you, whether it be your music, your gym?
I would say Google, man. If you go to Google and type JC Llamas,
For reals.
it would take you to all my social media platform, my YouTube account, my Spotify, everything related. Even like podcasts from different CNN. I did podcasts. I mean, a TV interview on CNN, and Mundos, and different platforms. So if I just tell you like go to JC Instagram, you find just what is Instagram. But if you wanna find like crazy things that I used to do, probably Google JC Llamas on Google, and like it will direct you to all the pages, all the things that I have done, like dancing, fighting, singing, acting, all that stuff.
Your social media, all those things.
Yeah.
Any last words or statement or anything you want to make?
Let me see. I think.
And I'll edit between so it doesn't sound like you waited or thought that
Yeah.
long.
For fighters, this is for fighters. Like, you guys need to find a home. You need to find a place that you can call home, because that people will help you reach your goals. You need to find a coach. Stop bouncing around. Like, you can go train other places, but make sure you let your coach know, or go with your coach so he make sure the fights are fair. And also, you give your coach the responsibility of guidance. Also, you give your coach the the trust to help you get better. And the people surround you, those people gonna be the ones that's gonna help you reach that level. The moment you start bouncing around place to place to place to place, you're never gonna find a home or coach that would like to invest their time. Time is the most valued currency that we have. And whenever you invest time in something or someone, you don't get it back. So a lot of people like myself, I make sure that my time is invested wisely, because that's the only thing I don't have more. So my time I invested wisely with the people that I care, the people I want to help, and how I gonna help somebody with my time. And also, before you go helping out the world, you gotta help yourself. Find peace, find balance in your life. Get, like, I know it's hard for people to have balance whenever they have a mess in their life. We all have a mess, we all have a demons, but find that balance, that little peace, and little by little start adjusting your life to live in a place that is less drama. Surround yourself with people that give you that motivation, that competitiveness, that striving feeling. And the rest, have fun with what you do, have passion for what you do. Whatever you do, it doesn't matter what it is, fighter, music, painting, whatever you do, you have to have passion. Make sure you invest time in that, because that will give you joy, that will give you balance, that will give you freedom, and eventually financial freedom too. And my other best advice is be grateful with the people around you, the people that is helping you get those goals, and be an asset to those people. Help them reach their goals. It's a mutual benefit, not just in as a career, also as a mind, as a peace in mind. It's like knowing you have somebody you can trust, knowing that if one day I'm gone, knowing that person will help my family, my kids. Like, find some of those people and surround yourself with those people, and make sure that trust never loses their value.
Well said. Well said. All right, JC. Well, thank you so much for coming through. And then, again, I appreciate it. And we'll get this out there soon.
Awesome. Thank you for having me here. JC Llamas MMA, all digital platforms.
Arre.